We doing roll call yet? I literally just walked in.
No, not yet. We're almost there.
Okay.
All right, that's cool. Oh, Laura's here too. Okay, great. It's everybody.
So you guys are good to go whenever you're ready.
Yeah, if we're all ready to go, we might as well make this happen. Let's call this thing to order. And let me hold on 1 second. I didn't print out my agenda. It's on the computer. So yeah, let's call this thing to order. And let's do, what do we usually do first? Our roll call, right, Susan? Whenever you're ready.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear. We can hear you. We can hear you now. Yeah.
District 1 vacant. District 2. Matthew, that's you.
Yeah. Yes, I'm here. Sorry.
District 3.
Present.
And District 4.
I'm here.
Laura. And District 5. I'm not seeing Lucio. District 6.
Present.
Thanks, Steve. I'm here. Melanie, you're here.
Present.
And Phil, you're here.
Present, yes.
So we have a quorum.
Thank you, Susan. Let me go to the next agenda item is approval of the agenda. So I hope everyone has taken a look at how this is going to work today. Are there any questions? Are there any comments? Does anybody want to pull anything? Does anybody want to add anything? Are we good to go?
Yeah. Hi. I was wondering if you can get a little bit update on the ATP Coordinator position. I know it got passed by City Council, but it did not get brought up in the last BPAC meeting, and I would like to hear a little bit about the roadmap.
Yeah, we did talk about it in our agenda meeting, so maybe Jill at the very end. Jill, you can give us a little update on that. So we can add that to the staff reports at the end. What we can add. Jill can give us a little update if that's all right. Anybody else have anything else? All right, so we need a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of just an ATP coordinator update from Jill.
All motion to approve.
Thank you, Destiny. Destiny motion, and we need a second.
Second.
Second, Stephen. Discussion, anyone want to say anything before we vote on this thing? All right, so let's, who's not in favor of approving the agenda with the changes, raise your hand or say something. Sounds good. So we are going to approve the agenda with the changes. Let me make sure I get to the right screen again. All right, we're at the approval of the minutes. Yes, the approval of the minutes from last month. Are there any questions or comments about the minutes from last month? Hope everybody was able to either print it out or download it, or print it out or whatever. there any questions about the minutes, any corrections, anything we missed? Cool. All right, so let's go to the approval of the last month's minutes. Who'd like to motion to make that approval?
Motion to accept previous meeting minutes.
Great, thank you, Stephen. Who's got the second?
Susan raised her hand, so I think she's seconding.
Okay, Susan, yeah. Unmute yourself, Susan, so we get it on the record. Just make sure.
I'll second.
All right, Susan. Susan's gonna second. Are there any rejections to that motion? Anybody want to say no? They don't approve. All right, sounds good. It looks like the motion to approve last meeting's minute has passed. I'm trying to figure out how to get to this participant thing. Okay, I just want to make sure. I want to look at this thing. All right, good. We got 6 attendees. Great. All right, well, let's continue on here. Now's the time that we come to our unscheduled communication from the public. If you want to be recognized in the public, our attendees here, raise your hand. You got 3 minutes to speak on anything that's not on the agenda at this time. Let's see here. Let me go back to my screen here. I see 6 attendees. Would anyone like to address the committee for a couple minutes on anything? All right, sounds good. It doesn't look like we have anyone that wants to chime in. So we will continue on at this time. We don't have any presentations at the moment. We do have some task force, and I think we got some discussions on each of those, and I can't remember if we're going to create another one, but we'll figure that out as we go. So let's start with the first one on the list. Let's just start from the bottom down. Our semi-annual report we just delivered to the council, and I don't believe we had to. Nobody had to speak, right? Is that correct, Jill and Susan? Right, that's the task force, right?
It passed on consent, no discussion.
Great, perfect.
Which is kind of sad. I mean, I think
Yeah,
the intent was to get in front of the group.
sure.
So
Yeah, that would have been nice. And thank you to Stephen for making himself available. Did you?
No problem.
No, you didn't have to go down there because they had closed it already, right? You just had to be.
Yeah, I attended by Zoom.
Okay, great. Well,
I think that they had that big presentation for that. I think he was a colonel. I think that took up a lot of time, so I think that's why they shortened some stuff.
The report though, and maybe I'm missing it in my email. Did you were able to send around a copy of that report, Jill, to all members already?
I think I sent the link to the agenda item. And
okay.
include it on the agenda item for council.
Is it still there, do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. From this last week, right?
Yeah, they're all online somewhere.
Okay, I'll double check. I haven't seen it, so, or I didn't look, so I'm sure it's there.
It's the internet. Nothing ever goes away.
Yeah. Well, we'll find it. So if you want to see the report, it's on the agenda for last week's council. Just go to the website, go up to, just like you do for ours, just go to the city council one for last Thursday, right? Is that what it was, last Thursday? So thank you again for putting that together. We've officially closed that task force and we'll create another one. When will we create the next one? When do we have to report again? When does it look like? Did we do 2 this week?
March. I think it's March. Isn't it?
March? Okay.
April-ish.
Yeah, so we'll probably put one together in the next couple of months again to start doing that. So again, I'd appreciate if everyone who hasn't been a part of that before, everybody on the committee, we have some new members. to take part in that. We're going to do this at least twice a year. So everyone should have an opportunity to be on that task force. It's not time consuming. It's just literally an update for 6 months. You know, you can meet however at your convenience. We'll put it together, and then as you can tell, we might not even have to present it, but the fact is that it goes to council, so they have it to say that we, you know, they can't say that we're not doing what we're supposed to do. So that's the point. So think about being on that task force next time when it is created. Any other updates from the semi-annual report this time around? All right, so we're going to go to the budget task force for fiscal year 20. So it's fiscal year 22-23, right? Is that what that is, Jill? Because we just finished 21-22. So I'm assuming
No,
that's
we're on 21-22, right?
yeah. So that fiscal year 22-1. I mean, I don't think we even have. Do we even have a budget task force still? I don't remember if we do or not. I think I was a part of it, and Laura.
I thought we put something together and submitted it, but I
Yeah,
don't know that we've
we
heard
did,
whether or not it was approved or not.
We did, and it's in the minutes from June, but I still haven't formally sent it to Jill yet.
You want me to pull it from the minutes? Yeah, I've just been waiting for the list.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do it if it's easier. I mean, whatever. I will do it though. I promise. I will. I'll make it happen this time around. But it's in the minutes, so that's great. So we'll get that done. So the next budget task force, look, that'll be officially closed for right now. We'll start thinking about 22-23. That's the one for this next, you know, after this year's over, we'll start thinking about that, the 22-23 one. So we'll go to that next. Our PSA task force, I noticed that there's been some stuff going on with that. And who was on that one?
I actually don't remember who all was on it. I know Susan was helping me with it. I think maybe Matthew, were you on PSA one? I don't remember who was on because I don't think we ever officially met. I think I just included people in my emails.
Yeah, in your emails. But I saw we got some new stuff, right? Is that correct?
So right, I think everyone should have received the link to the new Class 4 bike lane PSA. It was very nicely done. You got Matthew in there. He looks great. I think was Tony in there too, I think, or was Jean? I don't remember. But I saw Jean. It was really well done, and I know I've been sharing it. I've asked my public health communications team to share it, so they're going to add it to their rotation of things that they share. I hope that you are all sharing it. That's the best way we can get it out at this time.
Yeah, and I think we put it on Facebook, or somebody did, whether it was Scott or Jill or somebody we shared it on Facebook. So they look really great, and we got some more coming, right?
So yeah, but before we move on, I just, you know, whenever Jill gets a chance to talk to the communications people at Fresno about any earned media opportunities, it would be nice if we can have some earned media to place some of those ads, either the Sharrows or the Class 4 bike lane. But yes, the next one now that we'd like to work on is the Hawk. We were hoping to get that done by October for Ped Month. I don't know, maybe we can get it done. I put out an email to everyone to see who has access to children. I know that sounds terrible, but we were looking for children to be in the ad because it is near a school, and you know, kids are camera friendly, and it would be really nice. The only one who responded to me so far was Susan. So I just wanted to double check to make sure there's nobody else out there that has children that might be interested in doing a PSA for the Hawks.
Mm-hmm.
I have to ask my kids again. The last time they said they wouldn't do it, but
okay. Well, don't force them, but if they want to, that would be great. Because I believe Susan, your grandson, right? Susan said he would do it. Yeah.
Are you looking for younger?
You're on mute.
What age?
I think any age. I think young kids are cute, right? Kids and puppy dogs. That's what we always say in public health communication. But I think any age will take. I think school age would be nice because it's near a elementary school. But I think, and they said even adult. We want some adults. We want, you know, kind of a mix. But
is it near Is it near elementary schools or near like one of those campuses that Clovis Unified has, like where they're all together?
I thought it was an elementary school.
Well, we have
Geraldine?
three. We have three Hawks actually. We have one by an elementary school. We have one on that's Shields and Locan area. It's the Clovis Unified Janet B. Young or something like that.
Okay.
Elementary school. We have one on Fowler north of Jensen at the Sanger Educational Complex. It's middle school and high school. I don't know what's open there right now. They were going to build it in phases. And then we also have one out on the west side between Ashland and Shaw on Bryan at a trail crossing. It's Bryan and Acacia. It's not. It's
And that's elementary, you said?
no. It's the trail crossing.
Got it.
I mean, there's some schools I think to the south of it, but it's a trail crossing.
Well, do we know, Melanie, do we know where they want to shoot, or is it just up to us on which one we want to do?
I think we had been shooting for Shields and Locan. I think that was what we originally discussed. And so we were going to try and keep it for
Okay.
there. But if someone has a reason that they want to do another location, just let me know. I think they're open to it. They're waiting to hear back from us now to see what our availability is. So I had put like every Saturday on there. But again,
Sure.
since Susan was the only one who responded, I just wanted to put it out there again. But if not, I'll connect Susan. I'll get you connected to Kyle so that you guys can come up with a date to go out and do the filming. I think once that gets done, they just need to edit it and do the voiceover, and hopefully we can get it done by October, which would be nice. Because I think they're already paid for. I think we paid for this out of the last year's fiscal
Yeah,
year.
so let's yeah, look, I got kids. I'm sure I could just haul them out there for a couple of, however long.
It shouldn't take, I don't think it would take too long. I mean, that's
Yeah,
my guess.
no,
So
no,
let
it-
me,
Yeah.
Tell me when you guys decide. I have some kids too. Mine are older, but I mean, they're hams. So,
okay.
Yeah, but your kids are like huge.
well,
They're taller than me.
We'll still take them. We'll take them. There's teenagers use the Hawks too. It's
That's true.
fine.
We can put a backpack on Matthew. He looks young enough.
And if someone wanted to take, bike out and use it too, and walk their bike across, that would be excellent. So, okay, so what I'll do is I'll put Susan, Phil, Jill on the list, and then Laura, let me know if your kids are interested, and then I'll just get you all connected to Kyle to come up with a date that works, and then hopefully we can get that filmed. And then we'll get through that one, and then we'll go to the next one after that. So that's the
great.
update from the PSA task force.
Yeah, and the next one after that one will be from what we just approved to recommend for the next 3 or 4. I can't remember exactly on the list how many we recommended to do. I think it was 3 or 4, something like that.
I think so.
and the Clovis school district is really interested in the PSA. They have had some complaints and confusion and just want some education on the Hawks. So we met with them on a different project last week, I think, and it came up and I said that we were coming up with this video. So it'll be good, I think, for them. And it's going to be good to send out to all the school districts near the Hawks, Sanger, Central Unified, Clovis Unified. We don't have any in Fresno Unified yet, but it doesn't hurt to throw them in there. So I think this is kind of a anticipated PSA.
Right. Well,
Maybe
that's
we
gonna
can get Clovis Unified to pay for some ad placement with it if they want it.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I like
that's it.
that.
if it's so,
Maybe.
if it's that critical, right? Yeah.
I'm sure they have access to earned media because they put out stuff all the time. So we can give it to their communications people and ask them to place it as many places as they can. We can give them the other ones too. We can give them all of them and say, hey, can you please place these at your leisure?
Yeah.
And
Okay,
Melanie,
that was it. Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
a little bit less work for me. Just add me to the list, and I'm sure
Okay.
I can at least get my son to participate.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we can, we have means of.
All right, I'll do
Getting
that.
our
I'll
kids
go
on
ahead and
board.
get you guys all connected. Thank you very much.
Mine's going to probably cost me a trip to River Park and Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah, it's gonna cost, right? Whether it's an ice cream or a new pair of pants or clothes or whatever it is, shoes.
It's not like we're paying SAG, we're not paying SAG salaries, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A is fine.
Yeah, exactly. All right, sounds good. So look, we're gonna get this one done, and we'll start working on the next one. So we're doing some stuff on that one. So let's keep that one together. That's a good task force to keep together for a while. The next one was the Vision Zero one. Any updates on Vision Zero?
Unfortunately, no, there's no updates. We need to meet, and I kind of blame myself because I kind of started a new job at City Hall, and that's been kind of occupying my time. So
No worries.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get it done. Let's make it happen.
Yes.
I'm
yes,
sure
the plan is to have a presentation at the September meeting,
Okay.
and so I intend to make sure that that happens.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, let's do that. That would be good. Whoever's going to be doing it, would be great. So, I don't believe we talked about adding any other task force at the time. Now that we're done with, at least for now, it's the two at the beginning. So I just couldn't remember. I don't think there was any other ones. I don't think there's anything else, other ones that we have. So, I guess we'll move on unless anyone has any questions. I try to keep. I'm keeping the attendees open just in case anybody wanted to say anything. But cool. What's next on the list here? Member reports. Let's do. We have two of them here that are going to take a little bit of time here, but let's besides Melanie and Laura, before we get to them, do we have anyone else from any other districts or the mayoral appointees that have a member report that we didn't add to them? Or does anybody want to have like a quick update? Yeah.
Hi, Phil. Destiny here. I do
Okay, Destiny,
have a quick one. Did you want me to go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead. We'll get to the other two for sure.
Okay, thank you. So I met with D3's office after hearing about some recent concerns from cyclists on the tower renovation project in regards to the bicycle lanes. So I did meet with them, and they told me the layout is more pedestrian friendly to encourage businesses so that there's more business traffic. They did widen the sidewalks, and they're maintaining the parking for local businesses. And I do want to mention that the bike lanes were prioritized on the connecting arterial, roads connecting to Olive. And D3's office has done a lot of work in, getting support for pedestrian and bicycle friendliness by adding better lighting. I'm sure people have noticed the cute little artistic trash can receptacles, the crosswalk art. And I was also told that more crosswalk art is going to be coming to Broadway and Olive. So just wanted to quickly mention that.
Thank you, Destiny.
Is that D3 or is that D1?
3.
It's part of D3.
Well,
yeah, but I can only speak for D3.
I've seen it on the map, but I mean, isn't like Olive meaning like the dividing? Yeah, it's the divider between both D3 and 1.
Yeah, and of course we don't have a representative for D1, so if we need to reach out to Soria's office.
Just to add to that, they're repainting the crosswalk at Weldon and Echo this weekend. I think that's D1. It's already has some artistic paint on it, and they're repainting it this weekend. I think Saturday.
Thank you, Destiny, for your update. Susan, anything? I'm just going to go up here. Stephen. Matthew.
So it's been nice starting the new job at City Hall. And also trying to since I'm all the way up here North Fresno, it's been weird as like a pedestrian and bicyclist trying to figure out how to bike and bus all the way to downtown. It is mainly because on meetings like tonight, where I just have a half hour between 5, I get off at 5 and then 5:30, I have BPAC here. I have to absolutely drive just because of how far north I am. And it sucks. I don't like that. As for other events, there was a meeting at City Hall a few weeks back with the Safer Woodward Parks group with Public Works. It was a constructive meeting, and we're hoping to do a walk audit in and around Woodward Park in September with Public Works staff, and hopefully with Council members Carbasi and Bradfield present.
Thank you, Matthew. Sorry you had to drive.
Yeah. Very last thing I'll say, kind of in relation to the olive thing, only because it was like I saw people complaining on Facebook too, and because I've tried writing on olive as well, it's like I appreciate that like the D3 staff have been working on like a lot of pedestrian and bike friendly stuff, but it's like someday there needs to be like sharrows or something else there to let drivers know that bikes can take the lane, just because it's like kind of uncomfortable when you're trying to drive east on Olive and a bike on east on Olive, and you've got cars piling up behind you and you don't know what they're going to do. So anyway, that's my report.
Thanks, appreciate it. My only thing before we get to Laura and Melanie is I met with some people, or a group who knows people from a group regarding slow streets. So there's a group in San Francisco called Slow Sanchez. You can go to their website called slowsanchez.com. And I'm going to get in touch with them soon, just so you guys know. And we're going to see if we can do basically the same thing and how they went about getting the support for doing Slow Sanchez in the city of San Francisco, in a place called Noe Valley. So I'm going to be in touch with them really soon, and hopefully we can put something together and get this. I know we wanted to do this during the pandemic, and this is where this came out of, the pandemic, but I know we had a little trouble whether it was support or getting something together concrete. So I'm going to see if this group was willing to help us out, and get a plan together to do that. So that's my update. I think it's going to be really cool. I think it's maybe something that we'll be able to do later on. But I'm excited about meeting up with this group. Yeah, go ahead, Laura.
I just wanted to let you know that Tony has talked to Slow Streets Sacramento recently as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you might be interested in connecting with him on this question.
Okay.
You might have some other resources on this.
Yeah, I just happened to run into somebody last week who was like, hey, I know this group up in San Francisco, they did that. And we're going to, and I'd like to put you in contact with them. And so I said, oh, that's exactly what, we were trying to do last year, but we couldn't really get it together for whatever reasons. And we'll start to hopefully circle back around, because I think it's something that we can do in a certain part of the city, especially in the neighborhoods that are more, a little bit older, maybe more tighter together. Where there'll probably be more support for that, like especially in the Tower area, right? There'd probably be a lot of support for a slow streets thing there. So yeah, that's basically my report. So just know that should be coming up in the next couple of meetings or not.
That's great, Phil. Mind if I just kind of briefly,
Sure.
Since I was on the original Slow Streets Task Force,
Sure.
I just want to state for the record that kind of the thing that we ran into, just to refresh everyone's memory, with Slow Streets was that there was nowhere there was nowhere where we could find money.
Mm-hmm.
It was discussed as being either from council district offices or as from their pod of funds and stuff like that. The other thing was, last I remember, a policy was created, Jill wrote it, and then it was turned into a trade memo, and somewhere, I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Well, look, we're gonna do it. Well, we're gonna try a different approach maybe this time around. Maybe get some different ideas on how that we can get some more support for that. And I think, it doesn't hurt to try and try again. That's eventually how you get there. And, as I know more, everybody else will know more on how we can all get involved in that. So that's what's coming. So
Absolutely. Keep me posted. Thank you
yeah, no,
for
absolutely.
looking into that.
Yeah. So next up is, I think in order is Laura first, right?
All right. Can I share my screen? It says
I think so.
disabled screen sharing. So somebody.
Right, Gavin? She should be able to share her screen or no?
Now she can.
Okay, now you can.
Okay, perfect. Here we go. Can you all see my screen?
Oh, yes.
All right, perfect. So as you all probably know, my organization, the U.S. Green Building Council of Central California, has been working on the Bike Safe Fresno program under the TCC, the Transformative Climate Communities Initiative, in collaboration with the city of Fresno, and it's known here as Transform Fresno. Oops. And this is funded by the California Strategic Growth Council, the California Climate Investment, Transform Fresno, and the city of Fresno. The Transformative Climate Communities Initiative, the Transform Fresno project, is focused on Southwest Fresno, downtown Fresno, and Chinatown. This is a little pie chart that I always like to show why active transportation is such an important element of transformative climate communities. Of course, if you look at climate change, we want to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and 41% of greenhouse gas emissions in the state of California in 2017 came from transportation. That number is unfortunately still increasing. So the goal is to reduce the amount of greenhouse gas emissions. There's certainly a lot of ways, EV cars, transit, and then the very much community-focused approach of active transportation, replacing trips in your local community from the combustion engine to modes of transportation that are not dependent on any mechanical support, just by using our bodies. I guess a bike is technically a mechanical support to a certain degree, but where the propelling force is not using greenhouse gas emissions to go on. So there's a bunch of elements within this TCC project that include active transportation. We have all the elements connected to the Southwest Fresno Trail, which is going to go between West and Thorn, which is also going to have some trees. And then our organization is conducting the bicycle outreach program connected to this trail, but it's also going a little bit overarching about a bicycle outreach within this framework. Then we'll have the Clean Share Mobility Network, which is led by the Black Chamber of Commerce. We'll have the Anna-Day Mode Shift, which is, I believe, led by Self-Help Enterprises. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jill. And then we have this TCC Connector, which is a fax project. And then we have the Southwest Offsite Improvements along the future Fresno City College campus, which is led by the city of Fresno. So lots of different projects connected there. As part of our outreach, since we had to move online due to COVID, we've conducted a survey that was open from September 2020 to June 2021 The title of the survey was "What would help you to bike more around Fresno?" And the goal was just a general assessment of barriers to biking in Fresno with a focus on that TCC area. You all know how hard it can be sometimes to just be focused on the area, on one area. So most of the respondents came from the TCC area, but we also had people that answered that came from a citywide audience. We did a bunch of outreach for the survey, in-person outreach during TCC events, virtual outreach through emails, Facebook, and virtual TCC events. And then we worked with a bunch of community partners, including the Fresno County Bicycle Association, the TCC outreach team from the EOC, the Economic Opportunities Commission, Every Neighborhood Partnership, Fresno Housing Authority, Edison High School, and potentially a couple of others more. We had 154 survey participants for this survey. And I'm just going to present you the results. So our first question was, how often do you ride a bike? And while 30% do not ride a bike, 60% do. And of those, a little bit over 20% use their bike every day. And a little bit over 20% use their bike every couple of weeks. And then we have about 15% that use their bikes once a week. So 60% bike ridership is certainly a good result. Certainly, there were probably a lot of people that participated that have an interest in biking. Why do you ride a bike? Always an important question. Most people ride their bike for recreational purposes, and that was nearly 70%. But we did have about 26% that use it for commuting. So that's a pretty high number there. The next highest, just about 20%. I do not ride a bike, but would like to start. So it's great to see that interest. But really, what we are seeing here, that most people really enjoy recreational bike riding. One of the questions that I think is for us, but one of the most relevant is what would get people to ride their bike more. The by way most picked option was I would ride my bike more often if there were more safe bikeways or trails in your neighborhood, and we're at over 45% there. So there's a huge demand to have safe bikeways across the city. If we see the next most picked answer, it's a friend's family would join the ride. So there's an interest to bike together. The next one is cars drove more slowly and at a further distance. We already talked about Vision Zero. I think this is really pointing us in this direction, and then nearly equally people would like to have more connected bikeways, also something that we've discussed here before, and they would like to have more secure bike parking. I think I've heard that especially from Matthew before, that there's a huge demand for safe bike parking. So one of the next questions was which of these makes it more difficult to use your bike? Rank from most to least. So I'm the way I did not get the result of this quite as I wanted to. So I marked it as going from most to least. Here, number one, people say this makes it hard for me to use my bike. It's too hot. I mean, it's Fresno. It can be hot. So there's times of the year when you're dealing with this. So as we are designing safe, or the city is working with a consultant to design safe bikeways, heat is certainly something to think about as a barrier. And I know with the Southwest Trail, we'll have a lot of trees, but I think it's important that this is an important design consideration. The second most named barrier is I'm uncomfortable to ride my bike when it's dark. Certainly lighting has to be considered as well. Then the next one we have, number 3, I'm afraid of traffic. We've talked about the high number of bicycle and pedestrian incidents in our city. So it's probably to no surprise for anybody that traffic is a big concern. And then on number 4, I don't have a bike log. I don't have time is number 5. There aren't spaces near me for bike riding. So missing bicycle facilities that are very accessible. I don't own a bike is named as well, and there aren't enough bikes for my family. So it's certainly some exterior reasons that make it more complicated for using a bike, and then there's some social reasons as well. With question number 5, we just wanted to figure out how familiar are people with bike planning, and I was actually positively surprised that about 30% are each familiar with the active transportation plan, Transform Fresno, and BPAC as well, followed a little bit behind by the Southwest Fresno specific plan. So people do pay attention to what kind of committees there are that talk about biking. Obviously, not all are attending. There is generally interest in this. As last question, we asked, do you have any other comments? And I'm going to share this with Public Works, and I can send it to you as to the group as well, so you can see the details. One thing, though, that got mentioned most, and here we have the first comments, and then we have comments continued, that 12 out of 28 comments mention safer bikeways. So really those that are answering the survey would like to see safer bikeways in the city of Fresno. We've seen that throughout this whole survey, that this is really one of the huge barriers in the city. And I know Public Works is working on this issue, but I think this survey really stresses that we really need to focus on creating safer bikeways all across the city, which means class 1 and class 4, both bikeways that are separate from the road, and then bikeways that are protected through barriers from the road. Yeah, if you have any questions on our Bike Safe Fresno programs, please let me know. Here's my email address, lgromas@usgbccc.org. Yeah, does anybody have any questions or comments about this at this point? And then I wanted to bring up something for a vote.
Very good presentation, Laura. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any questions? All right. Well, it was meant as an assessment to see what the biggest barriers were. Since it was really striking that the biggest barrier is really having access to safe bikeways, I would like to put up for a vote, or I would like to discuss how to put up for a vote that we add a policy to BPAC, or look how we can include a policy within our BPAC charter that we really would like to work towards having more safer bikeways. And I know, Jill, that there is a little bit about that in the charter, but I feel like we can stress that a little bit more by changing some of the wording.
Well, we do have bylaws, right? We do have bylaws. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have a charter, the BPAC charter.
Yeah. So is that the same thing? Right, Jill? No? Yes? Is that what we're going off?
It's the same as what? We have the charter.
Is that the same as our bylaws?
I don't remember.
Do we have bylaws? Or is it just our charter?
I think it's just our charter, isn't it? I don't know that we have a separate document for anything. We had talked a couple years ago about amending the charter.
Sure, sure. And I think, you know, I think in the end, that's a discussion to have. Is you know, amending, you know, again, I think we've talked about this before, and it's, again, something that we desperately probably should do soon is having a whatever it's bylaws, it's charter, task force to review those things, to take out things, to add things, you know, that are more relevant to our time now. So I think that's what really we're going for, Laura, and I think it would have to go to a committee or like a task force, work on it, then come back to the committee to vote on it. So I think, I mean, it's totally doable. I mean, it's just actually just getting it done. I'm gonna ask Nick to chime in on this one. He has his hands raised, so he probably knows what it more about the actual founding charter or bylaws. So Gavin, can we give Nick the floor?
I'll unmute myself first of all so you can hear me now.
I can hear you now, Nick.
Yeah. Okay. I did not realize I was muted initially. Sorry about that.
No worries. Go ahead.
The only thing you have is a charter.
Got it.
The BPAC never developed its own set of bylaws because they saw there was no need for a separate set of bylaws. The charter was meant to be all inclusive, and it was set up to include everything that we thought was necessary.
Perfect. And
the charter was approved by the city council. So if you want to change a charter, it's going to have to be anything you want to change will have to be approved by the city council. You cannot do that unilaterally.
Got it. And we can always do is at least vote on the changes and then vote to take it to the council, right?
Now, the other thing you should bear in mind is that the city of Fresno, thanks to Joe Gormley, has a complete streets policy that you might want to look at while you're looking at, you know, revising and updating the charter to see whether or not there's anything in the complete streets policy, which also was adopted by the city council, that lays out some of the things the city of Fresno is working towards. So you want to look at the city of Fresno's complete streets policy as well.
Is the charter available for anyone online, Jill? Like if you went to the BPAC page or anything like that, or is that something that you can distribute to the members?
I thought I sent it out not too long ago, but I can resend it again. I'm not sure. I can send it out again.
Thank you. Let's just be safe and send it out again. But I think that would be the discussion is let's get it, let's take a look at it, let's create a task force, let's make the changes we want, let's bring it to the committee to vote on those changes. And then if they do have to be approved by council, we can send it to council. That,
I just went to the website, I Googled it, it's there, but it's from 2004. So
Yeah.
maybe you're right. We should probably look at it and do some updates.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to every now and again take a look at it and see what's going on. You know, I mean, more relevant to this time than it was in 2004. So, yeah.
So
But it's on the website.
Okay. So Laura, what are you putting up for a vote for tonight? Because I think she's got an item that is a vote for a vote, so we can't just like ignore it.
Yeah, I would like to put out for a vote that we add a policy to the BPAC charter. Let me go back. I would like to put up for a vote that we add a subcommittee that looks that works on developing a policy to include in the BPAC charter that the priority of one of the priorities of the committee is to create safer bikeways around the city of Fresno with a focus on class 1 and class 4 bikeways.
Do we know if that's not in the charter already?
No, it's not.
Okay. So what we can do, Laura, and I think we can kind of narrow this down a little bit. You want us to vote on creating the task force, and that task force will be to the creation of that task force will be to create the new policy or updating the charter with a specific emphasis on what was it again? Specific emphasis on
safe bikeways.
Safe bikeways.
Class 4.
So if, let's I think that's what we're taking the vote on. And you know, I'm not opposed to that. I think it needs to be. I think we need to go through it anyway. And I don't think it hurts to add specifically that. Go ahead, Susan. Unmute yourself.
My question is if this is something that the BPAC would work with the new ATP coordinator on, because a new person coming in is going to be looking at the charter too. And
that's a good question.
And we'll be working with that person.
Well, I don't think it stops us from creating the task force. And when that ATP coordinator comes on, we can always add that person to the task force, right? I don't think it stops us for creating the task force to update it where it's specifically designed, where we are trying to update it for specific language, I should say, that has safer roadways for bicyclists. That's what it was, right? Bicyclists, Lauren, specifically. So Melanie has a question. Go ahead.
Yes, actually, I thought of a question about your survey. The first question I have is, of your participants, did you collect any demographic data?
Yes.
Okay, it'd be cool if you can share that maybe like just through email. I don't know if Jill, she's allowed to do that, but I would like to see the demographic data to see, male, female, zip code, age, things like that. The second thing I wanted to say was I think it's a good idea. I like the idea of creating a task force to look at the charter in general, just for general updates. If we want to add a policy about creating safer roadways for bicyclists as the BPAC, we should also include safer walkways for pedestrians. I think that's fair and equal to do both of those things. So if we're going to add one, we should add the other.
Okay, so if we're going to vote.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we can do a couple of things. We can vote to just create the task force itself, and then we figure that out. Or we vote to specifically not only create it, but to update the language of the task force to say that we need to create a safer space for bicyclists and pedestrians. So that means that we specifically have to do that now. Like we would have to actually do that. We could not have that in there. Because if we're going to vote on that specific language, we have to actually do that. That would have to come out in the charter. Otherwise, we can make it more broad and just say we want to create a task force to update the charter. So,
I think we should just do broad language. We shouldn't tie our hands and give ourselves all the leeway we need to do what's correct.
okay, there.
That would be
Susan, was Laura's, was your a request or a motion, Laura? Because if it's a motion, we have a motion on the floor and we need a second or it dies. So we need to figure out if that's the motion, we either got a second, or if there's no second, then it's just gonna die, but we can bring up another motion more specifically. We can talk about those. So I don't remember, was yours a motion or a request, Laura? Like, we want to do this.
I'm not sure. I might be lost a little bit there.
Sure.
When Jill asked me, she wanted to see if it's up for a vote. So we want to put in a vote.
And that's fine. So why don't you make your motion to vote on what you want to?
I can read, and Laura, you let me know if I'm capturing it right.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I tried to write kind of down what I think you're trying to say.
Sounds good.
So it would be a motion to create a task force, to create a new policy, to update the BPAC charter, and update the language to include both bicyclists and pedestrians, to emphasize safer bikeways in Fresno, specifically through class 1 and 4 bikeways.
Did she say pedestrians or did she just say bicyclists?
Well, we need both. I guess I could say.
No, I'm just saying, like, what would she, the specific one, because we don't want to add stuff that she didn't have in there specifically.
Well, Melanie brought that up, and I thought that was a great idea. So I think we can.
Do you want to? You can amend it. That's fine. We can amend it.
Maybe we stay a little bit more loose and say it's a motion to create a subcommittee to work on developing a policy within the charter. Or to update the charter to stress more our role and intent to create safer bike and walkways in the city of Fresno, and relating to bikeways to emphasize class 1 and class 4.
Okay, that's very specific. Yes, that's more specific. So that's fine. And that's her motion. We have to. Look, no.
She needs to say it again.
no, that's fine. That's very specific, which is fine because it's her motion. Now do you want to try to say that again for Susan, Laura?
Sure. It's a motion to create a subcommittee to update the charter to stress our intent and role to create safer bike and walkways in the city of Fresno.
You got that, Susan?
I intentionally left the policy out because then we can still decide if it's like a policy within the charter or if we phrase it a little bit differently so that we have a little bit more wiggle room of that.
Look, that's what it is. You got that, Susan? Okay, so now we need a second. And again, if there's no second, then dies.
I'll second it.
All right, thank you, Matthew. Discussion. Does anybody want to say anything?
It feels really specific. Could we just start with a motion to create a task force to review?
We can do that.
Charter?
We can do that after we vote on this one.
Oh, okay.
But this is just discussion. So
okay.
Does anybody want to?
Yeah, my comment is just it feels really specific. And if you're saying, Phil, that if we approve this motion and then we absolutely will have to do exactly what it says, I feel like we're putting ourselves in a corner to commit to something when we haven't looked at the charter yet. So my comment would just be to make something a little looser that just says, can we create a task force to look at the charter, to update it, to possibly include new policies, and leave it at that. That's my comment.
Policies and language. I would say more in language, because we're not a legislative body.
True.
So we want
policy.
to, it would be more language than it would be an actual policy. Any other discussion, comments?
I agree with what Melanie said.
Okay. Go ahead, Susan.
Well, what Laura's saying is to stress our role. And so you're stressing the BPAC's role in our intent to create, more safe walkways and everything. But I feel that is our role already. That's why we have BPAC. But, we do need to update the charter to reflect, I believe, maybe not necessarily even calling as bicycle pedestrian advisory committee anymore, but we're more of a active transportation, and that's more updated. And, not 2004.
Got it. Okay. Any other discussion?
Yes, I
Hi,
also.
Destiny.
Hi, I also agree with Melanie. I understand Laura's intent, and I agree with her intent for her motion, but I think we are putting the cart in front of the horse, so to speak, and we need to start with just reviewing the charter, and then that will lead us to the intent of what Laura wants and what we all want at BPAC, which is safer walkways, bikeways, and more pedestrian-friendly areas for everyone here at the city.
Got it. Go ahead. We have Nick. I'm going to let Nick in on this. Go ahead, Nick. Or we got to wait for Gavin to get you in. Go ahead,
Okay,
Nick.
now I'm unmuted again.
Yeah, go ahead.
I fully agree with Melanie. Step number one, people need to read the current charter to find out what's in the current charter. That's step number one. Read it to find out what's in it. It gives the BPAC a lot more leeway to get involved in a lot more things than the BPAC has ever gotten involved in. It's an old document. It needs to be reviewed and updated. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And then look at that and put together a task force to review it. Maybe look at the things that we could be doing but have never done. I hate the idea of downgrading, throwing out class 2s, but that's item up for discussion. And then once people are familiarized themselves within the current charter, see whether or not the current charter already gives you the leeway to push the things that Laura wants. And if there's not enough emphasis there, then change the wording to put the emphasis on things. But I would say, first of all, don't tie yourself down to specific wordings. I totally agree with Melanie. Don't tie yourself down to start. Task the task force to do an overall review and update of the charter. With the idea in mind that you're working towards the goals that Laura has in mind.
Thank you, Nick. Anyone else? Matthew.
I'm kind of shifting to agree with the rest of the room on this one. I think that it would be great just to go ahead and look through and modify and read the whole charter before we do anything.
Got it. Laura, did you put your hand up? Yeah, right.
I was wondering if I can change my motion.
Look, we're gonna vote. Look, we're gonna vote on the motion. It's already on the floor. It's already been seconded. We can vote on that, and then we can have a discussion. After, we can have a discussion. It's already there, so let's do it. And then after that, we can have a discussion about what comes next, not necessarily a vote, because the vote is this vote. So whatever happens after that, we can put together, we can not put together, whatever. So look, let's just finish off this vote. If it goes one way or the other, it's fine. There's no grudges being held here or anything like that. So let's do, Susan, let's just do if there's no other discussion, let's do a roll call vote.
Okay, so let me, so this is to create a subcommittee to update the charter, to stress our role, BPAC, intent to create safer, bike and walkways in the city of Fresno.
Correct. So Laura motioned that. Matthew seconded, and now let's just finish it off and let's vote on it. And then we can talk after that about depending on how the vote goes. So go ahead, Susan, just from 1 to all the way.
Okay, so just so I'm not confused, this is to create a subcommittee, which is not the same as a task force.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't think we're supposed to have subcommittees.
Well, a subcommittee, well, okay, so task force has a defined timeline and a specific function, and it does not have to be, doesn't have an agenda, doesn't have to be posted on our website for, inclusion
Correct.
for everybody else. If we
And
go
it doesn't
above
include
that,
and it doesn't include the public.
well, it can include the public, but it's not a public meeting per se.
God, no.
With an
Okay,
agenda.
yeah, I
So
know what you mean.
you can include the public on a task force, but
No, on a task force you can. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm talking
so
about the subcommittee. Yeah.
subcommittee, I need to
I don't
refresh
think
my
we're
memory
allowed.
on that.
What I remember, I don't think we're allowed to do those, but I'm not really sure.
Well, no, we can do it, but we
Oh,
just have
okay.
to follow the rules, which would
Yeah.
be hosting another meeting similar to this. It would have an agenda that would have to be posted 72 hours in advance.
Sure. So look, let's just vote on it. Let's go from 1 all the way, and then we'll go from there. Go ahead, Susan.
Okay, well, District 2, Matthew,
I vote no so that we can vote on this with better language.
District 3,
No.
District 4, Laura,
Yeah, I wish we would have had the discussion before I was forced to formulate it. Because I feel like we're shooting ourselves in the foot if we just
Don't worry. Don't worry.
down the road. Well, I would like to put that up that in the future, I really would appreciate that we can have these discussions so that when a member of our committee is asked to formulate something, that we have all the information and all the input before we put this up. Because I thought those were all really good ideas.
Right.
Anyways,
It's your motion.
so I
You have to vote yes.
no, I don't have.
she
why
can
would I have?
abstain.
No,
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
She can abstain.
She can do whatever
Okay,
she
so
wants.
for now,
She can do whatever she wants.
can we vote though in a modified version after this? And I guess this is a bit.
Yes.
Look, we're gonna talk about all our
Fine, I'm
options
saying
after
about-
this.
Yes, this motion, if it dies, you can come right back and say with a different motion.
Yeah, we can.
Same, similar
have-
thing, but just.
Perfect. Then
We
I
can have-
abstain for this one and I'll come back.
You abstain. Okay, that's perfect. Okay. All right, go ahead. Who's next?
Stephen? Stephen,
No.
I'm voting no, and it's just because that it should be a task force and changing that and not a subcommittee.
Got
Melanie,
No.
Phil,
No. So the motion or the vote, it didn't pass. The motion didn't pass. So, which is fine. Now we're back to talking more about what can we do. What should we do, right? I think it's a good idea to put together a task force to tackle the charter and then go from there. And Laura, you're obviously more than welcome to be on that, and head the the task force. That way, you know, we don't, that way, you know, you can get what you want in. But I think that's the easiest, I think that's the simplest route, is just creating the task force to review the charter, and then, you know, putting in the language that we want, taking things out, whatever, come back to the committee with the changes. We vote on as a committee for the changes to recommend to council. So that, I think that's the easiest. We don't need to vote on creating a task force.
We can just create the task force.
Correct. Yeah, we can just create the task force.
Okay.
So if that's what we want to do, if we want to create a task force, I'm all in. Who else wants to be on it?
Yeah, I'll be part of this.
Laura,
I'll be part of that.
Susan. We can't have a quorum, so there's only
And
going to be.
Phil, you too, right? You
There's
said
only-
you're going to be part of this?
I'll take a look at it for sure. Why not? I'm sure I have some time somewhere. So that's 3.
Nick
Anyone
has his
else?
hand up.
Who?
Nick.
Nick,
Okay, Nick. Does he want to talk, or does he want to be a part of it? Nick, do you want to be a part of it?
I want to be a part of it. Yeah, having been around for so long
Sure.
and hooked at this thing to the council, I want to be able to put my, 3.5 cents worth into this discussion.
Got it, Nick.
So
Thank you.
I volunteer to be on the task force.
So that's 4.
Now remember, you cannot have
We can't have a quorum.
quorum.
We can have a quorum. So, if nobody else wants to be there, I think we can have one more, right, before we get a quorum. So, if any other members want to be a part, that's fine. If not, we got 4. Matthew?
Gonna leave the last spot open for anyone who wants to take it. It sounds cool, but my schedule's kind of packed up as is, and
Sure.
I mean, I'd have to double check it to be sure, but
Yeah, as long as we don't go over, as long as we don't go over 5 members, obviously, or 5 or more. So we're good. So we got a good number. We got a good amount. Laura, do you want to head it?
hand too.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. What?
Tony is raising his
Oh,
hand.
Tony, go ahead, Tony.
Let him speak.
I gotta say, I gotta keep this thing open. I gotta see this.
I was Nick and I were both on the previous bylaws task force that we had, kind of got disbanded there. I'm interested. I guess, one of the things I would like to suggest for consideration for the task force to keep in mind is maybe looking at some of the other BPAC committees in other locations, kind of seeing how things are. One of the things, I attended one of the LA county, the BPAC, and it was very interesting because they actually had alternates appointed, and that was one thing that I thought we might consider, because it's kind of nice when people don't show up, that you actually have an appointed alternate that could kind of fill in there. So that would be kind of my suggestion to the committee. But like I say, I'd be interested in being on the committee as well.
Yeah, look, the commit or the task force can do that if that needs to happen. So we got Tony on it. So we got 5. I think that's more than, it's probably really good. Laura, do you want to head it up?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I do have a lot
I'm
of things on my plate, so if there's other volunteers that want to head it, that's fine with me. I can be a fallback though.
Okay, I'm just saying, because I know, you want to get your language in there, so I just want to make sure that, we don't do anything without you.
I loved Matthew's face when you said
Yeah,
that.
I did too. I saw that. I was like, is either looking at something or or whatnot. So
yeah, it was like, what the heck? But then, yeah, I understand your explanation, Laura. Yeah, you are pretty busy.
So look, we'll get it together. Susan can send us the list of people who are on it, and we can email each other as long as.
And so I understand, how long is this task force supposed to last?
Let's say let's say up until, I mean, at this point, let's do it up until the next, it doesn't have to be like, we can go longer than like, I think like 3 months, 3-4 months. Let's do it at least until, we're ready to present for our next semi-annual report. Then that'll give us enough time with the holidays and stuff like that. So if we're thinking March, let's at least, September, October, November, December, January, February, it's 6 months. Like, plus with the holidays, it's really going to be like 4 months, 4 or 5 months. So we'll be good. As long as we get it done by then, I think we should be okay.
I didn't hear any volunteer, so I can set up the first meeting and
Sure.
lead this, but also with the understanding that I'm not doing all the work. So if
Sure.
Tony wants to,
No, you're not going to do all the work. We just need.
Can review all the charters and report to us.
Look. We're not asking you to do all the work. We're just asking you to like just get people together. Hey, let's get together and let's talk about it. Other people can take a look at it and bring their suggestions. We're just asking someone to just gather the crowd, right?
I can do that.
Okay, then yeah. Okay, well, you'll take the lead on that. Okay, sounds good. So I like it. I like that's a good one. We'll call it the Charter Task Force. There's no bylaws. We're gonna take that out, that language out of our vocabulary. It'll be our Charters Task Force. Our Charters Task Force.
But thank you,
Okay.
everybody.
You're welcome. Now we're to the staff reports. Oh, Melanie, we still got Melanie. Go ahead, Melanie.
Yeah, so
Sorry.
I thought we were gonna have a lot more time, and yes, we still have staff reports, so I
Don't worry
don't
about it. We
want
still
to
do.
take up a lot of time. I move very quickly. I'm not asking for a task force. In fact, when I realized we were gonna have a lot of time here, my comments to Phil and Jill were, let's just talk about it as a group as a whole, and let's just make it happen tonight. So we in the past created we had a task force for a strategic plan. So where I work, I'm used to working on scopes of work with the deliverables and goals and activities that are really set and specific. And what I found in my time with BPAC is I feel like we kind of flounder around. Like we talk about a lot of stuff. We talk about doing stuff. We sometimes do stuff, but we don't always do stuff. And for me, it's been a little frustrating. So I created a task force to do a strategic plan. We started to work on that pre-COVID, of course, and then COVID hit and I was pulled in 10 different directions and it kind of died. So what I'd like to do is share with everybody, and I have it on my screen, what we did last time, just so you kind of know where we left off. You can see it was back in June. It was a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
It was myself, it was Steve, it was Tony, it was Susan. We got together and kind of put some things together that you see before you. So I kind of wanted to go through this. I would like to tonight, maybe in the next 15, 20 minutes, update this with some goals for this coming year. So we actually have things that we're working towards instead of just sitting, once a month and just kind of talking about stuff, which I also don't mind, but it would be nice to say, hey, we're working towards this common goal, and it would be nice to reach and achieve that goal. And then when we make our plan, or our report to City Council, we can say, here are all the things that we accomplished this year. And here are things that we're working on for possibly next year. So I work fast, I talk fast. So anytime anyone just jump in, because the way I have my screen now, I can't see hands and stuff. I can see a few of you, but I can't see everybody. But what I'm going to do is I want to start. So let me just update this for tonight. So I'm just going to make updates as we go. So that way we're moving along. I'll update this to include obviously everybody that's here at the meeting so that we can say that, we were all here, that we all voted on this. And luckily, I think everyone that we have is here, except for Lucio. I always forget Lucio. The ATP Coordinator Position, I think we're moving along on this. We'll get an update from Jill on that, but I think we should leave that on there because it's not accomplished yet. So it's still one of our goals. Luckily, we're going to have that accomplished very soon. So that'll be nice. I think the goal was possibly October. It might be pushed back a little bit. We'll hear from Jill on that. We also talked about expanding connectivity. So I agree that we should continue to support this connectivity. We talked about specifically though, when we met back in June, slow streets and tactical urbanism. And I think at that time, there was a couple of grant or funding opportunities that Tony had talked about. Slow streets, now that Phil is talking about it again, So my question would be, do we want to keep slow streets kind of in our strategic plan, or do we want to make that as a secondary goal, or what do you
Look,
think?
I wouldn't, there's still some work I got to do. So like, this is not going to be something that we're going to be able to do in the next 6 months. You know, I think there's some more pressing things that we have to work on.
Okay.
But I think, you know, let me come back every month at least and let, you know, everybody know where I am with my connections and for there, until I have something more concrete and say, okay, I have a timeline now, you know, I'm gonna have somebody come and or I'll present something with somebody else and we're gonna go from there.
Okay.
But I'm hoping, I know there's more things that we that we got to take care of, but I do think it's something that should be on our radar.
Okay. I'm also proposing that for this quick build, that we take this off for now, because again, that was something I think that was timely at that specific time. I think Shelby had
done,
some,
right? And didn't we do that, or
I don't know that we actually did anything on that. I know we had talked about it because there was some funding options for that, but I don't think we
Isn't
actually
that
ever.
the Palm bike lanes are quick?
Yeah, I thought those were quick.
Oh, was that a quick build? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's a quick build.
How much mom knows? I mean, that's much
Yeah. I
know.
thought those.
Okay,
That's
we
what I said. I
understand.
thought those. Yeah,
So,
I knew we did something with that, or
Quick doesn't mean
the
what you
city
think
did at
quick
least.
means.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. So I guess my next question then is, are there opportunities for us to continue to work on other quick builds that we want to leave as part of our goals for the coming year? Or can we just say that we've done this?
I don't know if it's more pressing than some of the other stuff that we have. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, this was basically led by the city because of the funding that they had.
Right.
It wasn't really us. I mean, we talked about it, but we really didn't, you know, we really didn't lead the way on it. But
okay.
Again, I think, you know, if it does come up later, we talk about it, but you know, I think there's still some more pressing things that we talk about.
All right, so moving along. So Vision Zero, I like that we've kind of revived this. So I'd like to leave that on here. Matthew is leading the task force.
I think that one is one of the more pressing ones that we should have something to council, you know, within this fiscal year budget, like, you know, maybe even by the budget time, if it's going to take funding, right? I think we need to make sure.
So I'll modify. Yeah, I'll modify this to say that we have a task force already created and that we're working on this potential policy in this coming year. Is that good, Matthew?
I don't know where he's at.
I can't see him.
I can't see him.
I turned my camera back on.
Oh, there he is.
No,
Okay.
I have to move the.
I didn't see what, because I only have 4 screens on right now, 4 people, so I didn't see your face. That's okay. We talked about increasing the amount of high quality bike parking. We talked about at the, you know, train station, city hall, airport. Could we work with the city on this, similar to BART stations? You know, given some of the data that Laura provided and people talking about safe parking, I don't think it's a bad idea, but again, I think it's a lower priority, if you will. I think, again, we have other things that we can work on. I don't know if anyone has any comments or.
Yeah, that's more of a funding issue from where those places are, because those people have to buy in and want to do it. I've talked to the airport like on 5 different occasions. I still can't get a straight answer whether they're going to have bike lockers or not.
Tony has his hand raised in the chat.
Oh, okay. Do we want to hear from Tony?
Yes.
I can't see because of the way you showed it.
Yeah, sorry, I had put my hand up back when up on the previous item back up there on the quick build and the bike network thing. I just wanted to comment that there are still gaps in the bike network, but I also wanted to point out, maybe Jill can update us on the ATP is actually due to be updated, right, this coming year, Jill? We're kind of on schedule for that, so I guess my hope would be that the bike and the PED network would be addressed in the ATP update, correct, Jill? Or
it is due to be updated. We have zero money for it to update it. We weren't successful in our last grant application to receive the funding, so we're regrouping and trying to figure out where we can get some money.
Got it. Okay. So
but
yeah,
yes, It
Yeah.
needs to be updated.
Right. Okay.
I guess that
Much-
puts everyone on notice to bring that up with your council members. ATP needs money. We need to update it, or at least like, I've got a wish list like put together of things I would want to see that I'm not seeing in the previous ATP. So I mean, and that's like a whole other set of task force and work. And oh my gosh, there's so many great things to work on. It's just a lot of us don't have the time for it.
Or money, time or money.
Yeah,
Jill,
well-
how much does it cost roughly?
300,000, I think, ish.
Look,
These are all things that we
So it's just
work
cheap.
with for us to get out of being a bronze level. If you do
Yes.
all these things on this list,
yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
we
Remember
would
we
not
got
be a
the,
bronze level city.
yeah, you're right. We did a lot of this according to what we needed to get to the next
Comes
level.
right
So,
off of that
Look,
scorecard.
Yes.
we don't have to do everything in the next year, right? I mean, we got 5 years or 4 years before we got to go back for an
I
application.
think it's
right?
closer. I think we're at 3 years now, aren't we?
Oh, okay. Well,
It's going by
whatever it is.
fast. It's going by fast.
It is, but we do have some time. Like, let's just tackle one thing at a time, and we'll do it. I mean, we want to do everything, but like we gotta prioritize. What can we do? Look, the first thing that came off the board was the ATP coordinator position, right? I mean, that's going to be done. It's just going to take a little bit more time. So let's get to the next thing that we can do. So yes, it's going to happen. But I like where Melanie's going. So go ahead.
Okay. So just moving again, moving along physical improvements. We talked about getting branded items because we talked about going to events and then having a
Oh, yeah.
presence like with a table, a pop-up, some handouts. And I don't know that we ever got a clear-cut answer from communications team about whether or not we can do that. Jill, did we ever get a clear-cut answer on that?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to, when I get the list of the funding, I'll bring that conversation back up.
Okay. Did we include branded items on that
we
budget?
did not.
Okay.
No, but I'll remember to put it on there.
I'm sorry, Melanie, how did you name the section before physical improvements?
Oh, I didn't actually name it. I think that was just the general stuff. We probably, I was thinking though, need to do one. I think that's called advocacy. And I think advocacy could be 2, 3, 4. I think that could be advocacy. ATP was just, staffing, I guess. So I didn't have a specific title for this one, but I'm thinking advocacy would be a good one. If we're allowed to advocate, right? We're advocates. Okay.
Yeah.
My suggestion would be to potentially name it policies. And
I hesitate to do that. I hesitate to call policies because we don't create policy.
Yeah, we don't create legislation. So,
but we can advocate for policy. We cannot create policy. Does that make sense?
We can recommend.
or goals and direction.
I mean, they're all goals, right? So I think I'll put it up there. I'm going to send this out. We're not going to necessarily approve this tonight because I'm going to make a lot of edits to this, but I'm trying to get feedback so we can figure out how to name that section.
Well, I would just suggest, since we just talked about it, to update the charter to include that in there.
That's a good idea. Advocacy, goals, direction. Okay, so then let's add that here. So update charter. That's in process. Okay. All right, so we'll add that on there. Branded items. So Jill will look into that. We talked about bike repair stations, similar to the one at Dry Creek. How much would these cost? Could we get sponsors for these? I think, again, we just move this down to priority. I think it's a nice thing. But I don't think I think like these things up here are kind of our big ticket items, and these are kind of like secondary. We talked about more lighting, specifically, I think on the Eaton Trail. We talked about those glow in the dark stickers that are really cool, but we think that might be too expensive. We talked about solar lighting. Steve was going to talk about it. I think you might have talked about it, Steve, and maybe I just didn't update this list.
Yeah, I did, and it just kind of went nowhere because I don't think there was funding for it.
Money, time and money. Need money. Okay. Educational opportunities. These are going to be, again, attending events to do education out to the community. I don't know if that's something.
That's our new ads too, right?
Yeah, that's true. We've got our ads. Let me add our ads to there. Oh, we have media down here. Let me add that. But here with educational opportunities, number one, there's not a lot of events taking place. Number one, and it's like the main thing. There's not a lot of events taking place that we can attend, like all of the big, fairs and health fairs and, school health fairs and things like that haven't been taking place. Second to that, as a public health official, I wouldn't endorse being in congregate settings at this point. We are in a surge, everybody, in case you didn't know. The numbers are as high as they were at the peak last year. Our ICUs are full. So I would not encourage anything where we're in congregate settings where possible. Now, outdoor activities, cycling, walking are lower risk activities. And so I still encourage those things to happen, just not in large congregate setting groups. So I would vote to take these things off for now, for this coming year, until again, we can get a handle on COVID. That's my suggestion.
Don't our PSAs qualify as educational because we're still developing?
What media?
I think so. So I think that would fall under media. So we've got paid media, which should be avoided, but what I can add here are the PSAs on here. So we've got the 2 that are done, 2 completed, and then 2 upcoming. So the ones coming is the Hawk, and then we talked about the scramble, and we talked about the 3-foot rule. I felt like I'm missing one.
Yeah, no, there's
Cheryl. Oh, we did that.
We did Cheryl.
It's in the minutes. I can't remember.
Okay, so I'm going to put 3 upcoming because those are still media, and I think that is a form of education. So I think that falls under there. So I think with media, we're looking actually pretty good. So I'll add these things here. And then events, it's my recommendation to take all
we
these
don't
things
need to be
out.
doing events right now, and look, a lot of this stuff is going to be taken off our plate in a sense. Once we have an ATP coordinator, they can help us do a lot of the stuff that we don't have time to do. So and look into certain things. So yeah, this is good to give to that person, to
what our goals
say,
are.
hey, this is what BPAC, this is what we're recommending in order to get to the next level. Help us out as best you can.
Okay, so what's missing? What would kind of things would you guys like to see us achieve? I remember, Laura, when we first talked to you, you talked about doing something, with Fresno State again, doing some, I don't know, bike share or something like that with Fresno State. But does anybody have things that they would like to, work towards this year?
I think this is a good conversation to have definitely in the task force meeting.
I don't want to create a task. I don't want to create a task force. That's the whole point. I kind of wanted to put things on here now.
I thought okay. I didn't know you.
I don't want to create a task force because quite frankly, I just don't have time.
Sure.
So we had time in this meeting. It was kind of a light agenda. And so I just wanted to address these things now. I will reformulate this, and then we can vote on it on the next meeting.
Do we want to think about it now that we have it and you can send it around?
Sure.
And then we can do some more on it next month, and then we can vote on it in October, or if that's what you know what I mean. Because by October, we could technically have an ATP coordinator, if not in the pipeline, like really close to being hired. Just so we have a little bit more. It might take a couple meetings to add some more stuff. People might go away, come back, and say, hey, let's add this or something like that. So look, if we don't have anything off the top of our heads right now, it's a good start. Melanie can send it off to everybody. Sure. And we can talk, we can add it to the agenda next month, Melanie, as well.
That's great. But before we end, does anyone want to add anything now? Because
that's what I'm saying. If nobody, if it doesn't pop to you right now.
So if there's nothing now, what I'll do is I'm going to reformat this, add, take away. I'll send it out again, and then I'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting for us to actually vote on it. So we can say, these are our goals and our priorities for this coming year, and let's try to stick to them. I don't want to get halfway through the year and let's add something new, right? Let's just try to stick to these, and then we'll reevaluate them every year as we go forward.
Yeah, let's wait and vote on them until like October.
Yeah, not tonight. Next meeting.
No, October, September. We'll talk more about it in September.
Oh, okay.
And then, so if we need to add anything or we want to take another month after that, And then in October, we can finalize it and just say, okay, this is it. This is done. So we got a whole year. Or do you want to finalize it earlier?
I don't want to take longer than it needs to take. So if we need 2 months to do that, okay. But I could make these corrections and send them out by next week.
Okay.
And then that gives everyone enough
the
time.
The only reason I was thinking October is because like if our agenda is a little bit more packed next month, we might not have too much. We might want to not, we don't want to. We might not be able to take too much more time. So let's definitely set a date for October, but maybe we try to do it early. I don't know. I mean, that was my only thing. If we have a packed agenda and we want to talk about more like we were supposed to tonight, let's table it for another month and then we'll vote on it. So
okay. All right, I will work on this and get it out to everyone. If there's anything that you think of after this meeting, feel free to email me and I'm happy to add it on. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Tony, real quick, go ahead.
I just had a question about the media campaign. And now that we have the PSAs, did the strategic plan include a plan to kind of distribute and promote the PSAs now that that they've been done? Was that part of the idea there? Or?
We did include some funding in the budget that we gave to Jill for some possible paid media if we cannot get earned media. But the goal is to try and get earned media through City of Fresno. But if not, we have a little.
Or anywhere else, right?
Or anywhere else, right? But if not, I think we put a little bit of money. Like if we couldn't get one thing, then we were going to put that into paid media. But media is super expensive, so we're trying to get all the free stuff that we can. That would eat up the entire budget. If we paid for those ads, it would eat up the whole budget, and it wouldn't get us very far in paid media.
Yeah. But we can share it. Obviously, we can share what we have. So. I mean, whether it's on what I think we only have Facebook. So, I mean, you can always I think you can even download it, right? Off of YouTube. Is it on YouTube?
You can, or you can just link the YouTube. So most people can access YouTube on their computers or phones or what have you, but you can, I think, download it. But yeah, I would encourage everyone to share it with your networks, with your organizations, your businesses, your friends, your family. Just keep sharing it out. And then as soon as we can, it's on, I think, CMAC's website. So they have it there as well, which is awesome. So just keep doing those free things. And then if we absolutely have to, we'll pay for something, but it won't get us very far, just to be honest.
All right, let's thank you. You don't have any other questions, Tony? Your hand's still up. Okay, there you go.
I did have one other suggestion for consideration for a possible new thing. I was very impressed with the presentation that Ali Geller did on the Families for Safe Streets. And so I was wondering whether if anybody else felt like that might be something that BPAC might want to consider trying to support developing a Families for Safe Streets chapter locally. I did try to reach out to Eliana Troncalli because she works with the trauma center there, and they do have a kind of a support group for victims of trauma through community. So I'm kind of in the process of kind of getting more information about that. But I was thinking in terms of trying to get public support for the idea of a Vision Zero program that maybe having a victims advocate organization like Families for Safe Streets might be something. So I don't know if anybody else would have an interest in doing that, but they do those kind of events that they've had that Joe Martinez was involved with, that they had the kind of the events around that, and ghost bikes, things like that. So anyway, just a thought after Ali Geller's presentation from last time. So
thank you, Tony. Yeah, send it around, Melanie. Let's come back with some more ideas. We can add that to it as well. And if we have time next month, we can always, maybe put it up for a vote Or we can just say, okay, we're going to vote on it in October if we want to have more of a discussion next month. So that would be good. Let's go to Officer Belli, who's on the phone, I think, right? He's always on the phone. Or somebody, right? Is it Officer Belli today?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
There he is. Yeah.
It takes a minute to unmute, but hello. Yes, I do have some stats. I ran some data for a 2020-2021 comparison. I did from January 2020 through July 31st, and also for 2021 for pedestrian and bicycle collisions. So for those January 1 through July of 2020, we had a total of 105 pedestrian collisions, and we had 42 bicycle collisions, with 25 of those being injury. During that same time for 2021, we had 97 pedestrian collisions and 50 bicycle collisions that had 39 injury. Unfortunately, we've had one fatal collision involving a pedestrian since our last meeting that occurred on July 9 at approximately 8:42 p.m. near the intersection of, it was basically on Olive Avenue, just east of Thesta, where an elderly female was utilizing a walker crossing southbound on Olive outside of a marked crosswalk east of Thesta Avenue. There was a white Ford Expedition. We believe it's anywhere between a 89 model to 2003. Was eastbound on Olive Avenue in the #1 lane, struck the female, fled the scene. It's a hit and run investigation that the detectives are currently involved in. So this is a 4-lane roadway with a center turn lane. During the time of the collision, it was dusk conditions, and there's a street light present near the area of impact, just east of the intersection. Regarding the primary collision factor, it's obviously we're going to have the vehicle failing to yield to a pedestrian in the roadway. The pedestrian is also associated in the collision by being crossing the road outside of a marked crosswalk. Like I said, detectives are on it. They're trying to gain video surveillance, and they do have several leads that they're working on to try to narrow down and locate the driver of this vehicle. If there's anything else, any questions?
Officer Bella, I was wondering if you do these comparisons between the years, if it would be possible to share that visually. It's just much easier to grasp than just hearing it for those that are more visual understanders.
I can repeat them for you if you like, or I can email them to you.
They also go in the minutes too, Laura. So I know Susan writes them all down and pins them in the minutes. When the minutes are published, they're on there. I think it's hard for Officer Belli because he's on the phone. Yeah. Unless he could send it to somebody ahead of time and then we can share it, possibly.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yep.
I
think we lost Bill.
Yeah, I'll make a note for the next meeting, and I'll forward them to you, Jill, and I can just, they'll basically be on just on a Word document.
Oh yeah, Word document would be
the number.
Doesn't have to be
Okay.
fancy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Officer Belli.
You're welcome.
I'm unmuted. I need to unmute myself. Any other questions or anything else from Officer Belli? We're good. If I still have my agenda up here, which I hope I do. I don't know why I got kicked out. Who's next? Jill. Jill, and then we have Jill and Scott and Jill. So it's basically the rest of the meeting. Public Works.
Okay, what do we have here? So work plans up. If anybody has questions, thoughts on that, or if you want to hear anything more specific, let us know. What I really wanted to talk about was tonight we have 2 grant applications or 2 grant cycles coming out. CMAC is due on September 17th and the STBG is due on what, October 1st, October 2nd-ish, right around there shortly after that. So we had, we took the list of projects to council on Thursday and it was approved. I will share that with you so you can see what was the list that was approved. Okay, so for CMAC, the grant application projects, or the projects for the grant applications that were approved were a fax application to increase frequencies on some routes. We do have a Chestnut neighborhood sidewalk application that we will submit that is to, and Scott, jump in when I'm struggling on these scopes of work, but to add or fix sidewalk in the neighborhood that's bounded by Chestnut, Tulare, Willow, and Belmont. That's in District 4. We do have a ITS project to add synchronization along Clovis Avenue. We do have a Kearney Trail project. If you took part in that trail feasibility study a couple of years ago, one of the projects, or one of the top 5, I think, trails that made it into that study, we are looking at applying for funds to construct that. So that would be the Kearney Trail, which is from west to Fresno. We do have the California Avenue Complete Streets project from Fruit to Mayor, and I did attach an exhibit to that, and I can bring it up on the screen and we can discuss after we go through the list. There's a traffic signal at Chestnut and Beheimer. I believe there's a school right there, so it was being installed because of pedestrian and school type warrants. There's also another ITS project along Palm and some pedestrian improvements, which I believe were APS related. If you don't familiar with APS, it's the push buttons, and so they talk to you. So they say walk sign, walk across whatever street, to add those to those existing signals. We have another class 4 project on Barstow from Blackstone to Cedar that was also attached to the agenda. And Blackstone Abbey Smart Mobility Project from Home to 180. And then the next set is STBG, Chestnut Avenue, roadway improvements from Kings Canyon to Butler, Herndon Avenue overlay, Valentine to Marks, Shaw overlay. There's another traffic signal at Barstow and Bond, First Street overlay, Tulare to Olive, East Street reconstruction with some signal upgrades, bicycle facilities, sidewalk improvements or safety improvements, Cedar Avenue overlay, the Jensen Avenue overlay, Martin Luther King Jr. reconstruction, and then a Church Avenue overlay. So on all the overlays where we can, if we don't already have them, we will look at trying to put in bike facilities along those streets. We have talked about First Street, adding class 4 along this stretch because it was one of the projects that came out of the Fresno COG class 4 feasibility study that was completed shortly after our ATP project in 2017. And Jensen Avenue, I believe we're discussing putting in some buffered bike lanes in that area, and those recommendations are coming out of the reverse triangle transportation project that just wrapped up, that was also conducted by COG. Scott, what am I missing with these projects?
Nothing. I would mention that the smart mobility we decided to omit from this round because of the complexity of the project and the deadline.
So the list we have isn't completely accurate other than, well, it's accurate other than the mobility plan at the end there, right?
That's correct.
Yes, it is accurate.
My only questions would be like, on average, how many of these do you get funding for on average?
Scott, do you remember what the pot of money is regionally?
I want to say it's in the teens of millions, maybe 15 or 18 million.
And what, like, if we're looking at CMAQ, what is our, we're $2, $3, $4 million for some of these projects. So
yeah,
and
yeah, some of them are upwards of 5 million.
And this is a regional bid type of project. So we are putting our projects up against projects from the city of Clovis, from the city of Selma, from all the cities, the incorporated and unincorporated cities in Fresno County, as well as Fresno County projects. So it's a competitive process that is scored by a group of people that are selected to review all these applications and score them and rank them, and they just start with the dollar amount, and however that ranking goes and how much money they can get out of that, they will fund.
Cool. I look forward to hearing what at least some number of these getting selected.
Jill, I had a question on the reconstruction of MLK. Is that including the corner of Pottle and California? I know that was brought up a bunch of times. I'm not quite sure it was North to Jensen, if that would be included.
So in that project, no, but it is included in our California project. So let me show you the most recent concept that we had for that intersection. So if you're familiar with the intersection, it's pretty wide. It's got sweeping right turn lanes and whatnot. So you guys can see that. I can zoom in a little bit.
Yes.
So this is what right now what we have for the intersection. So we are looking at making it kind of a half protected intersection for bicyclists. These areas right here, right now, are right turn lanes. And so we're going to fill them in with some median islands for pedestrians and for bicyclists to walk through. These are sidewalks coming through here. So that's kind of our plan for that intersection.
Wow. Okay, that's actually very different than like the item that was like attached to the agenda. These are like.
Yes, the item that was attached to the agenda was the version that I had available at that time. This is
okay.
This is brand new as of like yesterday or today.
Okay, cool. Second thing, we've got someone in the we've got a public comment there. Someone's raising their hand. I spoke with them on Twitter. They're like a resident who lives on Pottle. They had some thoughts they wanted to share.
Sure, we'll definitely get to that once Jill is done with this part here.
Yeah, so do you guys have any more questions about California at all? I can move on to Barstow if you want to see the plans for Barstow. I don't know that they have changed a ton from what was attached to the agenda. Barstow, I think, is going to be probably the easier of any of the class 4s we've done. We don't have parking to contend with. There's no driveways or very few driveways. It's going to be a pretty easy, it's going to be a lot easier project than some of these other ones that we've either done or have, thoughts to do.
I just had a comment on the California before we move on to Barstow. So in our community meeting with Cal Walks, one of the issues that was brought up by community members, so one of the wishes was to add more green pavement markings to just show where things are and where bicycles are. I see that you have like the existing Broadway there, the existing pedestrian way, and then just a little bit marking on like the south west side there, but the area where I understand the issues are, but like on the north side there, we don't see the green pavement. I was just wondering if that might be something that could still be included to just stress a little bit more the that pedestrians and bicyclists could be in that area.
So our standards for using green paint is to use them at conflict zones, conflict areas. So we will use them at high volume driveways, at cross streets. You can see like right here, we do have some green paint at Lee in California and up here in Waterman. We have it right here at the intersections as they're coming in to show that there's going to be bicyclists there. We've tried not to wholesale do, solid green bike lanes throughout. We've kind of held it back as a conflict area so that it would draw attention to drivers to show them that there's something different about this area, that they need to watch out for bicyclists.
Thanks, Jill.
Let me bring up Barstow if there's no more questions on California.
Jill, there was a question from the community that was specific for California. It might make sense to listen to it now before we go to Barstow.
Sure. I'm gonna get cut off here. I'm at 12 hours logged in to my computer, so I might disappear. So Scott might have to help me for a second or so here. Let me see if I can get back in. Do you guys want to take the community or the comment from the public, Scott?
Yeah, real quick. We'll have somebody say something real quick.
Okay, Scott, can you do it real quick?
We're already at 7:30. And you still got a lot of stuff to do. So
I'll be right back.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So in this photo that you guys have just shown, the conceptual plan for California Avenue. Sorry, my name is Nicholas Martinez. I didn't introduce myself. I'm trying to rush through this for you guys. North of that intersection there on Pottle Avenue, there is a bus stop and a curve that you could kind of see the beginning of the curve there. And my issue with this conception is it actually makes that intersection a little tighter, and it'll make it harder as we get closer to that bus stop to have enough room. So my only suggestion would be if we can move that intersection just a little bit to the west to give that bus a little bit of space to park and a full lane so cars can pass. Right now that does not exist. The fax bus gets slammed into a lot by cars. So that's my big concern here.
Thank you, Nick. I think we lost. Oh no, Jill's still there.
I'm back. Anything else on California?
Nicholas was just kind of he was clarifying that he was stating that essentially he's concerned that if the intersection isn't shifted to the west just a little bit, the bus is going to continue to get hit, which it has been like on Pottle there, just to the north. Any thoughts on that, or?
I mean, I'm not really sure exactly at this point what can be done. It's a conversation. I don't know if they want to have online or anything or offline or anything like that.
Are we talking about the bus stop that is south of the intersection?
To the north on Pottle.
There's on the northbound side?
Yes, if you go north on Pottle, there is a bus stop right there on, like, in the news reports on this. One of the things that they were pointing out is that the bus stop there has been taken out multiple times. You can see all the screws in the ground from where that's happened repeatedly.
It's been taken out from drivers.
Yes.
Going over the curb.
Yes.
So is the request to move the bus stop or?
Hold on.
The request
I mean,
was-
this is going to narrow the access north and south at the intersection. I mean, it's going to force people to slow down. If they're going to continue, if they're driving through there at 60 miles an hour and they're not navigating the curve correctly, I don't know what we can do about that with this project. That's almost an enforcement issue with PD at that point.
It seems like the concern is for facts to get through this narrow part intersection.
I got the impression that when the fax bus is there, it completely blocks the roadway so that people stack up and going too fast coming around the corner.
And I that would have to, I mean, in the end though, that would be a fax service issue, right? Moving the bus stop.
Well, they're not gonna, the way that this is designed is they would not be coming around that corner fast anymore. Because it's a hard turn to make. It's not a sweeping, I don't have to slow down to make the turn.
I wasn't even aware this was an issue, but this is definitely something we can look at. I don't know how far up the consultant has the striping changes proposed in the plans. I don't know if that's the match line right there in that top viewport where Pottle kind of goes off the aerial image. But we can definitely look at that and take the recommendation to move the lines to the west and provide a little more room for northbound traffic, if that's the issue. But we can also, we'll talk to Fax about that. But again, I don't think even Jill, were you aware that there was an issue there?
Was not.
Yeah, so thank you for bringing that to our attention.
You're welcome.
If there's a way that we can, I mean, obviously the collaboration with Fax on that. I mean, if they have to move their bus stop to make it safer.
Well, they'd have to, what do you mean? So they wouldn't, they'd have to move it further down the road, if anything. They can't
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like if it's an issue that, like, for whatever reason it doesn't work out, and they'd have to move their bus stop. So it would be more safe for everybody.
Yeah.
But that's, again, that's a inner city thing with Fax and you guys.
Let's see, it looks like, is it Nick have his hand up, or is that?
I can't see hands right now.
I think Nick has his hand up.
Both the Knicks have their hands up.
Yeah, and then we're gonna go on from there, because, like, again, you know, staff is 7:30.
Okay, I'm on mute. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Nick, quick.
Okay. Yeah, this comment would make sense to Scott Singh. I spent 45 minutes this afternoon with Scott and Harmon going over these plans. So I'd like to thank them for the time they devoted to me on Waterman, the intersection of California Waterman. Once again, you've got the solid lines going right up to the intersection. So once again, Scott, referring back to our 45-minute meeting this afternoon, I think you need to drop the solid lines and go to dash lines earlier, prior to the intersection with Waterman. You see, understand what I'm speaking about?
Right.
Also, Jill, can we get a copy of these most recent plans? Since these are not the ones I was talking to Scott and Harmon about this afternoon.
Well, they're probably going to change
again.
I can send you them, but they're probably going to change again. It's kind of a moving target right now. We're trying to finalize these and get them ready for the grant application. But I can definitely send you this version.
Yeah.
And also, and Nick, you were obviously aware of this. What we're proposing here, this isn't the design. So this is a scoping and a concept plan. And we will, if we're funded, we'll have to go through a whole design process. So if things aren't shown, you know, exactly the way you want it, doesn't mean that this is the way it's going to be on the ground.
As I pointed out this afternoon, you know, and I must again repeat again, I appreciate the 45 minutes you indulged me. I pointed these things out just to make certain that these right-term oversights, were addressed if you got the grants, that when you start doing your final design, that you would, in the many instances I pointed out this afternoon, you would drop the solar lines and go to dash lines prior to the intersections. And that's the reason why I bring it up here as well.
And yeah, your point's taken. The problem is that we need to standardize on something. And so if we're not following that methodology as a policy for the department, we're not going to do it on this project. So I guess the question or the comment you have is a larger policy issue for Public Works than just California Avenue. But we'll definitely have that conversation. I mentioned it to Mr. Mosier today, and we'll circle back with him.
Because you're going to be doing class 4 cycle tracks more frequently throughout the city. So this issue will be coming up more and more. And I agree with you. You need a standard throughout. And like I said, it just looks like a right hook situation to me. So yeah, it needs to be addressed and come up with a standard. I'll shut up. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Jill, do you want to do the next one, or you want to go to your?
Yeah, I'll do the rest of the next one real quick. There's no more hands raised. So this is Barstow. Like I said, this one is pretty straightforward. We don't have parking. We don't have a lot of driveways. So it's a lot easier. I don't remember how much or if this changed from what was included in the agenda. But if anybody has questions on it, let us know. We've got, again, just the green paint at kind of conflict points, high volume driveways, side streets, at the intersections. We have bike box areas. Yeah, it's we've got the 6 foot, I think it says 6 foot bike lanes or bike areas with the 3 foot buffer on there. So I think we tried to maintain that throughout, if not a little bit bigger for the actual striped bike area. But if you have questions on this, let me know.
Thanks. Laura, go ahead.
Yes, I seem to have a lot of questions. The rest of the committee, it would be great to hear more questions on things. I know that this is a very important project for Councilmember Maxwell, and we've discussed this a couple of times now. This is the easy part, I guess, from the Barstow project, because then it's going to go on through the Fresno State campus, right, until Chestnut, if I'm not mistaken. And I was just wanting to have a little bit of an idea how you are thinking of addressing the part on the state campus side. I know there's a lot of stakeholders that I've been talking to at Fresno State that I really would like to talk to you about this. So what's the plan for
what's the jurisdiction there? Because
it's Fresno State. It's not a city roadway. So Cedar to Chestnut is all under Fresno State's jurisdiction. So they would have to initiate the plans and the project on that. We'd be more than happy to work with them to make sure that it connects with any projects that we have. They did have an ATP done of, I don't know, maybe around the same time actually it was before that, I think. And I think they had facilities through there, I'm not 100% sure, but I want to say that they kind of backed off on some of those, that they didn't think they were going to be feasible. But I don't remember for sure. But any project that was to the east of Cedar to Chestnut would be within the campus's jurisdiction.
Okay, because I think there might be a misunderstanding, because when this got rolled out by the council member, I was under the impression that he's looking to go from Blackstone through Chestnut all the way.
I think that originally was the thought from the council member. I don't know that he was aware that that was not a city roadway and that it is for the campus. So we, just like we can't apply for funds for a project in the county of Fresno, we can't build projects in something that's not under our control. So a project through that stretch would have to be initiated by Fresno State. And like I said, we'd be more than happy to work with them to make sure that it aligns with and connects with our facilities, but it'd be their project.
And none of the money that got dedicated to that from Maxwell could be used for Cedar to Chestnut. There would have to be financing brought up by Fresno State, or could some of the city funds?
That's state property, isn't it? Yeah, that's going to be.
It is state property. We don't have funding yet for it. That's what this grant is for the Blackstone to Cedar section. But we can't apply for and use funds as the city in another jurisdiction. We can partner with them on projects, but the partnership would be something like the Barstow Avenue Class 4 from Blackstone to Chestnut partnership with City of Fresno and Fresno State, and they would be doing their portion of it while we would do our portion of it.
Okay, thank you for the clarification there.
Thanks, Jill. We still got two more things we have to go over because we added one.
So what I need from you guys is we have letters of support that we're going to send out for all of these grant projects. And I need to, I guess, have a vote so that you guys are supportive or not supportive, or
of all of them, right? The ones
all
that
of
all the ones that, how many were there? They're like, what was there, 16?
There's a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can make a motion or if somebody else has to make a
No,
motion.
so I mean, somebody else would have to make a
right
motion,
back.
but we can, look, we can do a sweeping letter of support. They got to get done. If it helps, if the letter of support from BPAC helps, we can just, whether they're individual, I'm assuming they'd have to be individual letters, so 16 of them, or however many projects there were. And I can sign it on behalf of everyone. That would be the easiest way. I mean, that literally would be the easiest way to take care of all this.
I think it's just 2 letters, one for each of the different applications, because we just put in one application.
Is it one for each?
I think you put in, I think you put in one application with all of your proposals.
Got it. Okay.
And then they're rated and then selected. So I would assume it would be one letter of support per funder. So one for CMAQ, one for STBG.
It's actually one per project, because some projects have different components, or maybe not have components. So I don't know. I mean, if we want to do it as one sweeping project, you support all of these projects, whether it's has no bike and ped facilities, we can do that. We're kind of lost with Shelby not here, so we're going to have to figure out what we've done before and replicate that.
The easiest thing to do would be to just to be safe, would be to get all individual letters of support and send it. I mean, because then or you want to do all, I think that would be the easiest, because there'd just be a title for each one, and I could sign it on behalf of all of us. That's not difficult. Just print it out and sign them and scan them back. It's not going to be difficult. The question is, is everybody comfortable with that, of us doing that, so that at least this starts and we can get possibly funding for some of this stuff. We can't go over each project. This is going to be, it's a whole meeting in itself.
Okay, I have a motion to support all these projects on behalf of the BPAC, and we will let Phil sign on behalf of the BPAC, because any projects that we can get is a move forward for Fresno.
I'll second.
Thank you, Destiny. Discussion.
Let's vote.
Okay. All right, let's vote. Let's do, okay, so if it's gonna be, let's just do a quick roll call, Susan, just so we're all on the record.
Just a second. Okay. District 2, Matthew,
Yes. Hell yes.
Destiny,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
me, yes. Melanie,
Yes.
Bill.
Yes. So, however we get those letters of support to me, I'll just print them out, sign them, and scan them back.
Thank you. I'll get those to you here probably in the next week or so.
Sounds
Hopefully sooner.
The next thing on the agenda was, well, we added one more, but we can do them both because I'm pretty sure you have some quick updates on the ATP coordinator, the hiring of it, and the other one was your race cycle tracks.
I'm okay moving the race cycle tracks to next week or a future meeting. It was just.
We can table it. That's fine.
Okay.
We can add it to next. We can add it to next month.
Okay. So update on the ATP coordinator. We're getting ready to post it. I reviewed the advertisement for it. So I'm guessing that will be posted for the public soon. It has not yet been posted, but hopefully soon. So, and then the process for that will be up for so long. I don't know how long. It just depends. We'll see what kind of activity we get with it. And we always have the opportunity to extend it if we don't get a number of, the right number of applicants that we think, or we're looking for more. And then we'll go through the interview process and hire.
The goal is still to hire in October, right?
Well, we're pretty much not gonna probably because we haven't even posted it yet. Yeah. So I don't even know. I can't even give you a timeline, but I think I'm hoping it'll be posted within the next 2 weeks.
Great. And then we'll get an update next month on that, like where we're at. And if you need what you're going to need from us, if anything, whether it's a person for the interview process, whether it's just some questions that maybe we want to put together, whatever you need from us.
Right.
And Jill, just a clarification, the posting looks like the one that got passed by City Council, right? You didn't make any more changes on this.
So the posting is for a community outreach specialist. So there is some verbiage that is very standard from our personnel department. I can add and make changes to some sections, which I did, and I tried to make it as much reflect what we've talked about in this group or what was discussed at council, but it'll come across as a community special outreach specialist, I think is what the official job classification is, or job spec says, / ATP coordinator. So it will have as much verbiage as I was allowed to modify in it to make it specific to what this group has talked about and what was presented at council.
Thank you.
And yes, once it's posted, I will send it out to the group. And if you know people or think you're a good fit, apply for it.
I expect to see Stephen, you apply for that position. I know you're retired, but that's why you have the most time. I want to see your name right at the top of the list. Anyhow, thank you for those updates. Appreciate it. I don't think there's anything left on the agenda except for the motion to adjourn.
I would like to motion to adjourn.
Thank you, man.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Stephen. Who doesn't want to adjourn? Great. Motion passed. We're adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying a little extra.